Hey, everybody, Raylan Casper White here with another festive episode of X-RAE. I'm kind of starstruck. I don't consider myself a starfucker. You know what? I did get stuck in an elevator with Naomi Watts once. She's a tiny, precious little thing. And I was intimidated by her. And I did try and touch Jake Gyllenhaal inappropriately, also in an elevator. But besides that, I'm kind of cool, calm, cool, and collected around celebrities. But Taylor Schilling, oh my fucking God. I mean, I'm like getting a little, not to use a Yiddish word, but verklempt, if I can use that. I'm so excited to have you on. Welcome.
Oh my God, I'm thrilled to be here. We were saying beforehand, I don't know if I'm going to be able to help myself from talking like you. Right.
I take that. I don't take that as an offense, but you know, yeah, you do what you want. You're Taylor Schilling. You can mock me all you want. I don't
shut up. I'm so happy to be here. I think you're a genius. I had no idea. I've been watching what you do all the time. And then I'm like, oh my God, that's in the backyard. That's right there. I'm so impressed. I'm like, if I stand there, will I be able to do that? Is that like the magic vortex if I just stand by that tree in the backyard?
Taylor is, I have several rental units around the globe. I invested. That's why when you live in a double wide, you can invest in properties. And so Taylor is now temporarily renting out one of my properties at an undisclosed look. We're going to keep it an undisclosed location. You know what I mean?
Amen.
You know Taylor, obviously, from Orange is the New Black, which I thought was a genius fucking show. I wept when that show ended. I really did. I did. Because I really feel like I was there. The minute you got out, I was like, well, can't you get back in? You know what I mean? I was kind of bummed you got released. I'm like, why is she out? And I don't want to see her in fucking Borough Park, where the fuck you were. I don't know where you were. But tell me the story of, you're so adorable. Tell me the story of this evolution. Were you kind of well known before you booked that, or was that kind of your big?
I mean, in my mind, I was. In my mind, I was. So I got my biggest accomplishment was when I received a fellowship to NYU graduate acting after I went to college at Fordham University, and I felt like I had, won an Oscar or something. I felt like I had made it, and I was like ready to rock and roll and ready to.
You got into the MFA program at NYU?
Yes, for acting, and I had a fellowship. I was very excited about it, but I always had this sense that I was really doing it, and then I left there like a maniac. I left after 2 years, and then I was always working, but I was always working, so I could always pay my rent. You know what I mean? I could always buy food, and I always felt like that was a major success. Like in my own universe, I felt like
that is a major success.
I'm like an actor. This is fucking amazing. And I didn't even, and I grew up where it's all people saying like, I just want to have a life in the theater and stuff like that. And so I thought my answer to you is I thought I was, I was
the shit.
Yes. I thought I was successful. I thought I was like working, and I didn't have to, I'm just always so grateful to have a job. You know what I mean? And I love it so much. I love it so. I love.
You want to do? I know that the graduate acting program. Can I share a funny story?
Please.
I had dreams of becoming an actor at one point, and I went in to the NYU day of the callbacks for the MFA program. True story. And I lied to them, and I said I got a callback, and Ron Van Loo. You know Ron Van Loo? Yeah, Ron Van Loo comes out. And he's like, you're not on the list. And I'm like, well, I got a message on my answering machine. And the girl at the front's like, okay. And I thought they would let me in and I would do it. You know what I mean? And no, didn't do it. So I thought I'd be like, she lied and she got her way in, but they were like, please leave now before we call security.
Did you get up? Did you get up? Did you enter into like the 5th floor?
Oh, I went up to the 5th fucking floor, and literally they called Ron out because there was a misunderstanding. And it was pretty bad.
That is one of the cooler things I've ever heard.
Well, but then I ended up studying with him anyway. I don't think he ever liked me. I ended up studying with him and a bunch of other people from that program. And I thought he didn't like me. And so I said, fuck it. I'm not going to, if Ron Van Loo doesn't like me, what's the point in pursuing an acting career? Did you study with him?
Yeah. I mean,
people are obsessed with him. And I'm like, he just doesn't like me.
No, I don't think you're alone in that. I think Ron is a very boundaried man.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But it's not personal. I know that he would really appreciate and love what you're doing.
I hope so. I hope
I
so. And
know
that
that.
Chris Bays, you study with Chris Bays, the clown
Oh,
dude.
sure. Yeah.
He's fun.
I just was clowning with Chris like 2 summers ago. Right when Orange ended, I was like, "Oh God, I have to go find Chris Bays. I need help. I need to shake prison out of my fucking system." So I went and clowned with him for a while.
But you
Before
left the program because you were getting work already in film, TV,
No,
or in
I
theater.
wasn't. I got in a fight. Now I feel like it's probably because of my queerness that I couldn't fully articulate when I was younger. But Zelda Fitzchandler, who ran the program,
Mhm.
called me into her office one day and was like, you have problems." I don't know why I'm so giggly this morning. She was like, "You have problems I can't help you with." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" Like, I was like, really.
Were you bitchy?
No, I wasn't bitchy. I was like I was doing really well. Like all the guest directors, I,
Right.
get all those little parts and stuff. And I was having a really good time. And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And she was like, "You do not brush your hair."
Are you kidding? What was this,
No,
1952?
I'm not kidding at all. She was like, "You do not brush your hair." And like, she was essentially like, "What kind of a woman are you?" And you don't wear, like, you're
Wow.
not. Yeah, she was like, "You're not." She was essentially trying to tell me that I didn't present like as feminine enough, and that if I couldn't do that, she couldn't. She was she didn't know how to work with me. Now, she was the only person there that felt that way. Like everyone else I was having
That's mess.
balls
She wouldn't
with.
get away with that shit today. You
No,
tell
she
someone they're
absolutely
wearing
wouldn't.
the wrong blouse, you're fired.
I know, she would really not. And God bless her. After she said that, I think she was having like like she was having health problems. She was also like
Okay.
84 and she
Okay.
retired the next year. But my 21-year-old self, I was just like, "Well,
That's
fuck
rough.
you,
Yeah.
take your money, I'm leaving." And I
Yeah.
just left.
Yeah.
I finished the year. It was at the end of the year, and I'd done this William Inge play Picnic, and she was like really mad that I wasn't like 50s feminine enough. And
No gingham. There was no gingham involved in your
Oh, I
ensemble.
did wear gingham. I mean, I wore the costumes. I just didn't do it right. And so she was mad, and I was like, "I'm mad too.
Oh,
Don't
that's
leave it."
so interesting. Wow, that does feel
Yeah, but
dated.
I have nothing. I like didn't have any. I was like babysitting and auditioning, but I did have an agent, which was.
Well, that's nice. So when you were still okay. I don't know how old you are. We don't have to ask. You can tell me if you want to, but no
I'm
pressure.
not scared about my age, right? That's not who we are. I'm
No.
37.
37. You look sprightly. I mean, you have a very youth. You're one of those women that's going to age well because you have good bone structure. See, me, this is happening already. I'm turning into a 70-year-old man, so things are sagging, but you don't have that. You have that waspy structure to you. You have good
It's
stuff
such
going
a
on.
waspy face I have. Yeah.
It's good though. It's good. I mean, look,
Well,
it's nice. I like a waspy woman any day of the week.
sure.
I'm not afraid to say it. I'm not afraid to say it. I like all sizes and ethnicities. So you left that. So you hadn't come out. I want to go back to the sexuality in a minute. So you booked
Yeah.
Orange is the New Black.
Yes.
Were you out
That
at
was
that
like
point?
4 years there. Like, you mean like my
Sexually.
sexuality?
Yeah.
Sexually?
Sexually, were you out?
Here's the thing. I've never not been. Like when that like thing
Oh, okay.
happened, in my own life, but I never, I mean, I had a girlfriend when I was 14.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was dating people in graduate school, but I also I've been in love with my fair share of men as well.
Dudes.
I just never addressed.
Okay.
I never felt like it was something that I needed to kind of say. And also I had so many other things I was dealing with that the idea of that becoming my identity wasn't like on the table. I had
So
to
were you
deal with.
ever concerned though? Because I guess with men, maybe it's more of an issue, but you were never
Mhm.
concerned that if you were openly bisexual or whatever, that would limit the parts you
Oh,
could
I
go out
was
for?
terrified. I
Okay.
was so scared. I was so scared. And I think I still am. I mean, things have changed so much, really, even
Yeah.
from Orange is the New Black. I mean,
Yeah.
not even because, I don't mean because of that, but because since that time period and kind of like the way I came up in New York. And I mean, I was a wild youth. I had like a very chaotic,
Sex and
crazy upbringing.
drugs and juvie. Okay.
Basically, yeah. And
Sex,
so
drugs, and juvie.
I never internalized any like real shame around my sexuality. And then when I was coming up in New York, it was like really everybody was sleeping with everybody. It wasn't like,
Right. Sounds
I
like
didn't feel
Studio 54, but this is the
yeah, but
aughts.
it's the suburbs of Massachusetts.
Did you grow up in like a wealthy family and go to private schools and stuff?
No.
Okay. Okay.
No,
Okay.
my dad is like my dad was an ADA in South Boston for
Oh,
20
right
years.
on. Southie.
Yeah, Southie. Yeah, I grew up in West Roxbury.
Okay. I know nothing about it, but it sounds hot.
Yeah.
What are you drinking? Is it some sort of
Anyway,
California smoothie?
no.
Jesus.
Do you see how large this is?
That's a keg.
Like,
That's a keg of coffee, or what is it?
it's like a keg of water. I'm trying to, like, I drink one of those every day and I feel like I've done it's like, I wish there was like a hydration pill. You know what I mean? That you could take in the morning and just be done with it.
I enjoy water. I also this is a detail that I haven't shared with many, and this was more accurate when I was more sexually active, but I was usually prone to urinary tract infections after I got laid. But now I don't get them as much. I'm like, that's a bummer. Not the UTI. It feels like you're pissing glass. But I discovered this pill called D-mannose, and that keeps your urinary tract cleansed.
Wonderful.
It's like cranberry. It's the extract that you get in cranberry, but instead of drinking really gross cranberry juice, it's a pill.
Yeah.
I don't know if you need it. I don't know what your urinary tract situation is. I'm just sharing that with you.
I think she's okay. I think that she's flowing well. I think that I just get thirsty and I just don't want to drink water. It feels boring to me.
You want a pill. All right, look, this is like a startup in the making.
We can plant that seed right here. And
talk to Elon Musk. I feel like he'd come up with a water pill.
Wouldn't he? I want a water pill. I don't want it to dehydrate me. I want the opposite. I want to hydrate.
We want for 2022 abortion pills and water pills. That seems like for all, just everybody blanket.
It should be covered by all insurance.
All insurance, water pill and abortion pill.
And a hydration pill.
In France, they come up with all that stuff. France is they're good with that stuff. I feel like.
I wish I spoke French. Do you speak I feel like you speak like a million.
I don't. No, I'm the typical American. I speak different dialects of English. That feels like different languages to me. I'm like, oh, I speak Canadian. You hear Canadians speak French, though, you want to throw them off a cliff. It is so disruptive to the earbud. Right? It's just so bad. I'm like, what is that?
My Canadian friend yesterday. Yeah, it's fair. It's strange. Yeah.
So once I want to just go back to OITNB or whatever the acronym is.
I don't know what it is. But that show made it all. Yeah. I mean, to answer your question, it was never something I gave a lot of thought to until other people gave it a lot more thought. You know what I mean? Like I had representation at one point that was like, don't talk about your personal life. And I was like, ooh. And that scared me. But it also, like, I don't fault them. It was like years ago where, there weren't a lot of like models for.
Interesting. You're talking about once you got cast in that show, they were worried about you talking about your personal life?
Oh, just in general. Yeah.
Oh, in general.
But like also just as I was working before that too.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm glad things are changing. I do think, look, in terms of, I don't think women have it easier in anything, but I think in terms of gay men versus gay women, I think the gay, that women can still be considered, sexually, whatever for the film world, but men, it's like, oh, wait a minute. What was that guy's name? Rupert something. He was always scared that once he came out, he wasn't going to get those straight roles.
Rupert?
The English dude, Rupert, that Rupert actor, a guy named Rupert something.
Rupert Murdoch, and I'm like, if Rupert Murdoch came out, it'd be spectacular. Be a day to celebrate. I don't know who. Rupert
Everett. Is it Everett?
Yes, I think you're right.
I'm just saying. At the time, he was like this really hot English guy, and he was gay, and then as lo and behold, he came out, and that was it. That was it for him. Christmas movie, still the end of time.
That's so heavy. That's so heavy in this season of Christmas movies. Well, I don't know. It's very brave. I do think that I think it continues to stand true that being oneself is probably the reason we're on the planet.
I would hope so. It's amazing how mostly our childhoods fuck us up, and we continue to fuck up our next generation. But it's really that whole thing of finding yourself. But I feel like this younger generation, they're going to be equally confused because they have all the options open and they don't know what to decide. They don't know what their gut's telling them. You know what I mean? Everyone's like, what am I? What is this? What's my like? It's so open that it's hard to hear yourself anymore because now it's in the zeitgeist. So let's get to a point where nothing's in the zeitgeist and then it just is, and then everybody can make their choice from their gut.
Yeah. Well, I think that like we're learning new languages, and
Yeah.
like maybe I do think I'm like so inspired by some of the younger people I know. And it makes me also feel really old. Like I think this is the first time in my life where I've been like, do you remember when that started to change? I don't know. Like it's a weird moment where you're like, I really respect these young people. It's
Just
so
turn down the music. It's getting loud and my back hurts.
Exactly. I need to take a nap. It's like, I can't go out with you. We can meet for lunch.
I don't meet in the evenings anymore.
I'll make you a healthy meal. But
I did think that show was revolutionary in a lot of ways, in depicting sexuality and all these strong female characters. And I know that actually
talking about Orange is the New Black.
Yeah, Otenbit. Yeah. I'm going to call that Oiten. Wasn't there one of the showrunners who, is this true, that left her husband or partner and ended up coming out and coupling up with one of the actresses? Or am I wrong?
Oh, Lauren. Yeah. Well, I mean, she didn't leave her. That she was already on her own journey, but she definitely fell in love. A writer did fall in love with an actor, which is so beautiful. And they're both like flying high, such brilliant people.
Are they still together?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
What's the actress's name?
Samira Wiley.
Yes, I love her.
She's
so
brilliant.
much.
She's another genius. She's another, Juilliard kid.
Oh, is she?
So it's like conservatory kid. Yeah.
But there were a bunch of Juilliard actors. I got a little resentful. I feel like sometimes unless you're a Yale, NYU, or Juilliard actor, you won't get certain roles, right? They do get a little snooty in the theater scene there and stuff like that.
I mean, I'm terrified by the theater scene in general. I'm terrified by every scene. So, I mean, it's probably true. What you're saying is probably true. I don't know. We all just
touch with any of those people?
Do I what?
Are you in touch with any of the cast?
Oh, yes. Most of them. I mean, not like all the time, but we're all like buddies,
Yeah.
The big thing that we went
drama on the set? Was anybody like, I can't stand that fucking bitch. Just please recast her.
Like, no, but like I also wouldn't even tell you if there was.
I know, I'm trying, but I hear you.
I know you're digging, and I don't fault you for that, but it not like really no. Between the cast, it's just a fucking amazing group of women and like amazing group of actors.
Yeah.
We were always like, holy shit, you're good.
Yeah.
Like we would just be at work like, damn, you're really good. Wow. Now
do you have any aspirations to direct episodes, or did you direct?
No, I didn't direct. Not at all. I mean, I really felt like I feel like I do my best work as an actor when I'm able to just be an actor. I'm good at taking direction. I'm good at kind of my corner of the sky in that way. And like, I don't feel, and I guess it's also because of the way I kind of came up, I feel really proud of it. It doesn't feel like I know that some people feel like I need to be directing because I feel like I'm being dragged through the muck or something, but I don't really feel that way. I love acting. I love that part on set, but I never directed. I remember once talking to some guy at an event. I forget his name. Brilliant man. Like a genius, probably has like he's like some Star Trek guy, not William Shatner, but another one.
Patrick Stewart.
Yes, I was talking to Patrick Stewart.
I love him. I met him too. He did some King Lear for me. I almost had an orgasm right then and there. I'm like,
he did?
He just spouted out some Lear. I'm like, oh my God.
What the fuck? Yeah, I was doing something. I don't remember what it was, but it was something where I wasn't particularly comfortable and he wasn't particularly comfortable. And we started talking about how to maintain your sanity on like long running shows, and he really was vehement with his suggestion that I start directing, and I never took it. I was like, great, Sir Stewart.
Well, I feel like Sir Patrick Stewart, with all due respect, I mean, if you're having a good time, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I know. And it's like, it's definitely not out of the question. I'm actually more interested in, I mean, this is something you and I should talk about, later. But I mean, I feel almost more interested in writing than I do directing. I don't know. I mean, it all feels available.
Well,
But
you know,
I don't have
you,
any like burning desire, like my whole life I've wanted to direct. I don't have that.
right. Well, it's a lot of work, man. You have to really love it. You have to
Yeah.
really love it. You got to
And
think about
people are
everything. When you're
obsessed with
acting, you
it.
can kind of just focus on your own, like you said, your own corner.
Yeah.
I like corner of the
Be
sky.
very
I like that.
my corner. I think I'm corner of Pippin. I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to like go down that road. But yeah, I think I'm talking about the Pippin.
That's
Yeah. I don't know. I just like, yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. And I also know people that I just cherish and love and respect, and directing is their passion from.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear that. I hear that. I have no desire to direct. I do want my
But
own
you
show,
do
though.
sort of, right? Like you do like have to
Direct
direct.
me a little bit, but yeah, but
Yeah.
I don't just want people bossing me around, and I just want to go to crafty. That just
I
seems
know.
like the biggest perk. I know that COVID probably killed a lot of the crafty joy, but crafty just seems like the biggest perk of an actor's life in general.
It's a dream. I mean, it's a dream.
It's
come
decadent.
true. I guess I'm a little bit of a submissive person in that way, then a little bit of a sub. I like the structure. I like the boundaries, and I like just smashing my body up against the walls and then being like, that's enough.
What was
Okay.
okay, two questions for you, because
Yeah.
I know that the show was physically demanding and emotionally demanding. I mean, you especially in the first few seasons, like you're in it all the time. Do you have like a technique? How do you get yourself in those imaginary circumstances, or like how do you access emotions on cue when you need? That always fascinates me. How do actors kind of access those emotions on cue? Because when you're when you're doing theater, I think you're on stage, it's a different experience. But when you're on set, you know,
It is a different experience. It's a different experience for me. Being on stage is a different experience than being on set. I don't know if it was emotional. I guess in the first few years it was very demanding, like the first 2 years of Orange. But now that feels like
eons ago.
it feels like literally another lifetime ago. So you're like, what do I do? Like, how do I get
how do
ready?
you get to that place when you're like, okay, now Taylor, you're going to break down, like, your life's falling apart, whatever, you want to kill yourself. How do you get there?
I mean, oftentimes I felt like
Oh, you just felt it naturally. You don't have to.
I just felt that way. So I just walked in with whatever was happening in my own life. Then here we go. I don't know. I mean, I don't even know. I feel like I don't even know what process means or anything like that.
Okay.
I don't even know. I don't know. It's always different. And I think it's just I think it's really mostly about the writing too. I feel like if it's good writing, anybody can kind of walk into it.
Did you ever have writing where you were like, this is too on the nose, can we please change this line?
Maybe.
Okay, great.
Maybe.
I think that's smart. I think that actors embody a character. You know what I mean? They need to be able to speak up and say, because they feel what's right, especially when you're in it for so long. It's weird though. I know that like with TV shows, they have guest directors, right? It's not one director. So is it weird sometimes when a director that's never been on the show and you've been doing the show for years pops in? Is there a little bit of defensiveness among the cast? Like, you're our guest here, we're going to tell you what it's like, or
yeah,
no?
I think when I've been in that situation, that everyone who would like come in was like so respectful. It was always like, this is your home, and I'm a guest. It was like always so deferential and kind. I've never experienced that, but I could imagine that it would be weird. Someone came in.
I mean, it's intimidating. The powerhouse of women about to just ravage you.
It was very an intense place. Yeah.
Where did you guys shoot?
In Astoria.
Oh, so it wasn't a real prison. I know they sometimes rent out prisons for shoots. This was a whole set that was built.
No. I think after the first 3 years, Jesus Christ, I did that for so long. I mean, I did that show for so long. It was my whole life. It was 7 years. Wow. I mean, I was like that's like an entire life cycle. It's still shocking to me. Yeah. I mean, I haven't talked about it for a while, and I'm like, whoa, that was a big part of my life. So no, I for like the first 3 years, they didn't build it, and they rented out an abandoned children's psych hospital.
Oh, that's dark.
Yeah.
That'll take you places. Jesus Christ. Okay. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's really, so a lot of, yeah. I mean, it was so insane. So
Like
a lot
having
of
a birthday party at an oncology ward. You're like, how does this mesh? How am I supposed to do this right now? It's like, woo.
I mean, it was a lot of it just took care of itself. I mean, it was insane. Yeah, and even in the later seasons, a lot of the external, outdoor stuff was in this abandoned children's psychiatric hospital.
Okay.
But that's old news. I feel like the people who
Now,
love
you just shot the Tommy Lee, Pamela Anderson fiesta.
Oh, I did. Yes.
Tell me about that. They look pretty good. I mean, what's her name? Lily James? Is she playing? Not Lily James. Who's playing Pamela?
Yeah, Lily
James.
James. Right?
I like
That's
her.
name.
She's delightful. And
She's
Tommy
delightful.
Lee
I
was
like her so
Sebastian
much.
Stan. I didn't buy him as much as that, but in terms of looks, but I'm sure he did a great job. But tell me about what's your
Brilliant.
character in that? What do you do in that? What happened there?
I can't even remember the last name of the woman that I play. Anyway,
wow.
her
Even
name's
I've been working a lot.
Erica. No, her name's no shit, man. She's great. I mean, it was great. I have to say though, the two of them are incredible. Lily and Sebastian are amazing. But I play this woman who was married to the guy who Seth Rogen plays in this version, who stole the videotape out of their house.
Okay.
And she's awesome. She's an awesome character. I'm so surprised.
It's a brain fart. We all have it. It's just early
Yeah.
signs of dementia. It's totally fine.
I mean, I was like, I'm wondering if I have aphasia, I don't know what's happening. So, but yeah, she's great. And so over the course of the story, she's with Seth's character Rand, and then we see her later on when she's left him, and very successful porn actress, star, if you will. She's a porn star.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they're still very close, and their relationship sort of has shifted though once they get divorced.
Did you go to any porn sets for research?
No, not in person. No, it's also during COVID days. But I did a lot of, I did research on the internet. So
Pornhub is a delightful place to be. There's a huge selection there. Full disclosure, did you watch the Tommy Lee tape? Because I did.
Yeah, of course.
I thought it was hot. I didn't know that it was released unbeknownst to them. I did not know that. I just thought,
this is why I think this show is going to be so valuable. And actually, one of the things that I really love about this character, she's able to make the distinction between, I'm a sex worker. I consent to what I do. I sign papers. I like it. I make money. This is my choice. People were conflating Pam Anderson with porn. Like, well, this is just porn. And it's not. She did not consent to have that.
I didn't know that.
Public.
That's fucked up.
It was stolen out of their house. It was stolen out of a safe.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
Good for them that they put it in a safe. That's responsible living. Not that it mattered in the end of the day, but they did put it in a safe.
They did put it in a safe. And to the best of my knowledge, this guy tried to, he wanted it, trying to find the name of the woman.
Yeah, now you're like, uh-oh. This is embarrassing.
This is embarrassing, but it is what it is.
We can call her Carlotta, okay?
Carlotta. I know her first name is Erica.
Oh, there you go. See, we got that.
Erica. Oh God, I see a picture of her. I just don't know where. I don't know what her last name is. She's a really interesting woman. She started directing porn, and she started making and then she became this physical therapist. She's a fascinating woman.
Wow. That's kind of like Maggie Gyllenhaal's character in The Deuce, where she starts directing porn.
Started directing porn, sure.
I think that sounds like a fun job to me.
I think it would too. I think it would be fun.
But I
agree. I think that tape was so hot, and that was the whole thing that because they loved each other, and that's really sexy.
Yeah. Not only that, I think they just turned each other on so much. I mean, I haven't seen. That's why people like the amateur porn, where you're like, oh, these people are legitimately attracted to each other. Yeah. Because otherwise, it just looks like I don't know if it's a man gaze thing, but when they just want the anatomy, I'm like, I don't need to see the anatomy of the vaginal canal. In a close-up, but that's what gets the man going. So you don't have to be attracted to each other. It's just literally this anatomy lesson. But when you see this stuff, it's like, okay, all right, this is hot. I get it.
Yeah, no, totally. I think that's exactly what it is. It's two people who are actually really attracted to each other, and then it's like an ineffable thing. That's really, but it's also what makes that fucking tape such a violation.
I know exactly.
It's so crazy. What made it so popular is exactly what makes it, a travesty that it was public.
But now they're getting a little TV show out of it, right? So there you go. Or movie.
Yeah.
Is it a movie?
It's a show. It's 8 episodes.
Oh, it's 8. That's a
Excuse me
stretch
while
there. I hope they fill those 8 episodes well. I feel like a lot of stuff gets stretched out. I'm like, is this
I
enough
think
for 8
this one
episodes?
doesn't really. I think they do a good job.
Okay, good. I know you're not going to talk shit about a show you just did. What do you have in the works for in your future?
I don't know. I mean, I'm doing this show that I was telling you about in Brooklyn that I hope is going to be really good. I'm very excited about it. I don't know if I can.
I know you probably can't say a lot, but what can you say?
Well, because I don't think there's been like an announcement.
Okay.
I can certainly tell you, but I don't even know. I don't even know.
Okay, then don't.
I'm excited though. It's a writer that I really, really like. It's streaming. It's an Apple show.
Oh,
it's going to be great.
I like some Apple stuff. Some stuff I'm like, what? And some I'm like, okay.
Haven't they
trying to find themselves?
What?
They're still trying to find themselves, Apple.
But I feel like everything they do is really good. Like, what else?
They're more selective than a lot of other places.
I feel like every time I feel like with Apple, I'm like, oh, it's like what Netflix used to be. Remember when like Netflix was like a net show that came out on Netflix, so it felt like it was like pre-vetted.
Right. No, I think they had like HBO has like a brand.
Yes,
what they're
exactly.
going for. There's like an executive committee, but I think Netflix is really trying to do enough content for every single human being on the planet, no matter what you want or like, and they're succeeding, man. You want 69 shows in some, remote area of Papua New Guinea? You got it. You got it. Netflix has it. I've checked it out. Those are my suggestions. That's what they send to me in the algorithm.
Papua New Guinea. That's great. Yeah, you can find it. It's insane. I don't understand. Yeah. What else is on Apple? Apple is Ted Lasso. I like Ted Lasso a lot. And the morning show is really good.
Morning show was fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
It got it's weird seeing a show about COVID because part of it makes it feel really dated. And then, you know what I mean? Like, it feels like.
Oh, yeah. No, I did a show about COVID, and only because I was like desperate to get out of the house. Like, I was like, should I retire and make quilts? Because I was living, I was living in a rural area at the time, and my move out of the city coincided with a fucking global pandemic. But I think it's like the pandemic content that I personally made. I don't know if it ages well. I think I can say definitively it does not age well.
I didn't hear what you said.
I just think definitively it does not age well.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think that with the morning show, what's interesting to me was about the relationships. The minute they started venturing into, you got to quarantine, wash your hands. I'm like, dude, we're also so sick of hearing that. Like, it feels like another lifetime ago. Everyone's got that pandemic fatigue. It's like, let's do another Zoom show. Kill me now.
Yeah, kill me now. I watched a Macbeth over Zoom yesterday.
I really want to see that so badly.
Did you see? Oh, no, not the one with Frances McDormand. A literal, yes, like people did Zoom Macbeth.
Now, why did you subject yourself to that? Was we supporting a friend?
No, I actually was just like, I really wanted to hear the language. I was like, I need some poetry. And it was good. I really liked it. It was beautiful. They did a great job.
Speaking of Patrick Stewart, if you Google RSC, right, Royal Shakespeare Company,
yes.
I think it was Patrick Stewart was a student at the time. They have these instructional videos by one of the famous acting
Oh my
teachers.
gosh, I've seen those with like Judi Dench and Roger.
And like giving Patrick notes, you know what I mean? And kind of like, you can do better, and like you see them and you're like, oh my God, like because he's like a god now. But back then he was getting notes from the acting teacher going, I don't believe it. Do it better. Stop indicating.
I know exactly. I've been down that YouTube hole. I know exactly what you're talking about. There's one with, I think, Ian McKellen that is he is like so fat, the amount of swagger in that man's body. He's like, I'm trained to have my hand loose. Don't tell me everything's a choice. I just
watched The Power of the Dog. Have you seen that?
Oh, I'm going to watch that when we get off the Zoom. Yeah, it's going to be a Sunday adventure. I hear it's amazing.
It's really good. Yeah. I dug it, and I like him a lot. I do. I do like
Is
him.
it moving? It's like toxic masculinity a little bit moving in there.
Yeah, yeah. It's more complex than that. I mean, he's an asshole, but there's a lot more to it, which is what I like, and there's a real growth there. But I think that what I liked about the movie, it's very visceral and very subtle and visceral, and you don't need a lot happening. And she cuts to these like shots of horses, and you're right in the horse, you know what I mean? Like any other director, it might seem like, oh, this is on the nose. You got two dudes, and then you got, one horse on top, like, but the way she does it, and the music, Johnny Greenwood from, I think it's Radiohead, Johnny Greenwood does the score, and it's just disturbing the whole time. Kind of remember White Lotus? Know that show White Lotus, where the score is like, you didn't watch White Lotus?
No, I love that show.
Okay, so the score there is like, like haunting the whole time, right? That's kind of what makes the vibe there. So that's the score in Power of the Dog.
I'm so excited. I love talking to you, and I'm also so excited to go watch it. I can't wait.
Are you trying to say that you want me to you want to wrap up because you want to go watch
Let's speed this up? No, I'm happy to. We're happy to. I'm so excited to watch. I've heard such amazing. I mean, it sounds like a real piece of
yeah,
art.
It is. Okay, so besides this thing you're doing in Brooklyn, you split your time between you move around, you go back to New York, or what? You kind of an LA girl?
Yeah, I mean, I sort of had my. I like had this weird. I love New York City, and I mean, I've lived there since I was 17.
Mm-hmm.
So
emancipated.
I mean, kind of, yeah. But when I moved to New York for college, which is like a very, that's not like, moving to New York. I went to college in New York City. And I love it, but I also have an intense, like nomadism. I have a nomadic code. I'm encoded with a nomadic gene.
I think I am too. That's a good way of looking at it. It makes me feel less fucked up.
Yeah, me too. Right. And I've worked. So I think I don't have. Yeah, I have tried. I have really tried to get settled, and it doesn't really work. And then what I love about my job, thank God that I work, is that I get to go different places and then just be focused and not have to think about life outside of the job. But no, I don't. Yeah, so I kind of bounce around. I mean, LA, New York, the city. I spend a fair amount of time upstate. So
you have a barn up there? People have like barns with mid-century modern furniture. That seems to be right.
That's exactly. I mean,
making jams. Do you make some sort of preserves too?
Pickles.
Pickles.
I don't. I know. I don't. I like in that sense. I'm a real upstate dropout because I don't really cook, and I don't do any. I don't preserve. I'm a dilettante, but I do like to sit with the trees, and drink
but
water.
Hudson, that whole era that got really like shishi and shishi restaurants, right?
Yeah.
That's not really rural.
No, Hudson's not rural at all.
It's like
this town of Hudson is not rural.
No, that wealthy people from the city that have little property upstate that don't want to live in the Hamptons.
It's very fancy. It's like very fancy stores and like places where they're just like lines around the block for bread.
I want to smack people when you're waiting in line for
bread. They line up for bread. It's so old. It's like we don't do. It's just. It's like that.
It's not pretending like the Soviet Union in the Cold War, like waiting in line for bread. You're spending $40 on some sort of baguette ripoff.
It's embarrassing. I feel like it got covered. Like that joke was done like 15 years ago. Like, don't do it anymore.
Yeah, I'm with you. So I feel like I move around a lot just because I had a friend in AA. I wasn't in AA. My friend was in AA. He said, Raylyn, we call that pulling a geographic.
Oh, yeah.
Going somewhere else thinking things will change. And like, wherever you go, there you are. Thank you, Pema Chodron. You know what I mean? And it's like, but I still do it because I feel like staying in one place kills me. I feel like I'm aging. I feel my mortality when I'm stuck in one place. And so I feel like when I move, I forget that for a bit because things are changing and evolving. And, that's why it's hard in LA sometimes because the weather's so repetitive that you can lose your mind and you're like, my life's passing me by, but nothing's happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I've heard that from a lot of my LA friends.
Yeah.
That sense of yeah, the kind of the monotony. But I think that question of how does one learn to live with oneself is sort of the kernel of what the whole shebang of being on the planet is. It's not easy. It's not
Yep.
easy, and everybody's fucking trying to figure out in different ways.
Right.
And some of us move around, but yeah, it's a tough nut to crack, as my grandmother, my dead grandmother would
Oh,
say.
rest his soul, rest her soul. I think LA in that way is also good because it holds up a mirror to yourself because there's nowhere to escape. Like you're with
Yeah.
yourself a lot. Like in New York, you have so much stimulation outside of yourself that you don't have to look inwards as much. And also, I
Yeah.
think you struggle more. Like New York's a hustle. In
Yeah.
LA, you can kind of coast. It's very easier to coast,
Oh yeah.
but you're also with yourself if it's in your car or on a deserted street half the time, or
Yeah.
I don't know. So I feel like in that regard, it forces you to look. Have you found yourself more introspective since you've been in LA?
Deeply. I'm just deeply. I mean, because I also had that we were talking about. I had this little. I got pulled over a little bit. I mean, figuratively speaking,
Yeah.
pulled over because I had a little surgery on my foot, so I've had to kind of do some rehab. And it is. I mean, I'm good at that. I really enjoy. I don't know if I enjoy it. I'm just built for it to go very deeply
Mm-hmm.
inward. So I'm spending a lot of time. I'm just deep in my.
Any sort of life wisdom you could endow me with at this moment? Any insights?
I think you have it all. You
I
know
have
it
it
all.
all. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
You put
That's
that
very
wig
kind.
on, you are expressing, you are expressing. That's all we can do. We can just connect and create. I think that's the whole deal.
So where can we expect to see? When is the Tommy Lee coming out? And where can people kind of follow you and keep abreast of your activities and any causes that you're passionate about that you want to mention?
Um, I mean, there's really no place to follow me. I don't really use social media. And
I love
so
that about you.
I mean, it's pretty apocalyptic looking on my Instagram page. I realized that there's like a photo from like 2013, but I don't know. I also have, I mean, I got so lucky in this lifetime as to be pals with Jane Fonda, which is pretty intense, but I just
Ooh.
post things when she tells me to. She says, please post this. I say, all right.
You're like,
So I
okay,
kind
Jane,
of
whatever
go
you
away
want.
until I come back on and say, the world's on fire. Listen, I think the world is on fire,
It
and
is.
what we can all do is watch our consumption of fossil fuels and just talk to people about how we can change that. Oh Lord help us. But yeah.
On
I
Jane
mean,
Fonda
I think
note,
yeah, Pam and Tommy I think comes out, and I think it comes out um February 1st or 2nd or something like
oh, okay,
that.
so soon. That's a quick
Mhm.
turnaround.
Yeah.
Um, I saw Jane Fonda when she was with Ted Turner eons
Wow.
ago. You probably were still in the womb, but I remember them being both very impressive. They were like a power couple at the time. He's also very
I'd say
tall,
so.
and I remember watching that documentary about her, and I got so sad because Ted Turner now obviously is an older man and he lives alone. You could tell he's still in love with Jane Fonda. Like she's the one that got away, and she's prancing, and she could give two shits about Ted at this point. You know what I mean? She's like, "Oh, there we are," and he's like, "And there, I remember she was an amazing woman." It just made me feel bad for Ted. Not that I should, but it was heartbreaking in
Ted's
that moment.
okay. Ted's okay. Ted's doing all right. But yeah, she's a force of she's she's just incredible. She's
Yeah,
not really she's deeply of she's deeply of this earth. She's
ooh, I
deeply of
like
the
that.
here, but
Wow.
she's also something else.
Yeah, yeah. She's a goddess. Let's just say it. I will say it.
She
She's
is.
a goddess.
She is.
I love you, Taylor Schilling.
I
Is
love
that? I'm assuming
you.
that's an English name or German. What is that? Because it's SCH, right?
SCH, yeah. It was Polish.
Oh, so it was like
But
Shalinsky with
when
like
my
V's and
grandfather
W's.
came over, pardon?
It was like they had more letters in it that you cut out.
Yeah, exactly. When my grandfather, my great grandfather, right? Not my grandfather, but my
The
great
other one,
grandfather
great
came over
grandfather. Yeah.
from great grandfather came over from Poland in Ellis Island. It was like shilling.
Sneaky clip in it. Let's make it chilling.
And they make, yeah, I said, let's make it chilling. And so now I sound like I'm German. I have no German.
Yeah, but you could, you are a
I
chameleon.
can pass for it all.
You really, well, not all. Let's not, in today's
It's
day
beyond,
and age, you
yeah,
might
that's
wanna-
true. Very true. That's very true.
I feel like now, if you want to play someone from Poland, you actually have to be from Poland. I feel like actors can
Maybe.
only play exactly what they are. It's kind of
We're having
limiting.
a moment.
Oh, is your dog there? Is Tank there?
Yeah.
Can we
Tank
see
is
him?
here. Do you want to say hi,
Hey,
Tootie?
Tanky.
You want to say hi to your friends?
We're gonna go see.
Want to
Tank
say
now.
hi to your
Look at this.
friend, girl?
Oh my God. Oh, Tank. Oh, what a love. Oh my
I love
gosh.
Tank. Tank is my favorite person.
What a snuggle bug. Oh my
She is.
Lord.
She's just like a tiny little.
Oh,
she's
Tanky,
an
you
angel.
better not be pooping on my floors. That's a
Oh, she
rental,
does.
Tank.
Don't you worry. This little baby she's house trained as hard as can be.
I love it. I love it. Well, Taylor, thank you so much. It was a joy to have you on. I
Thank you for
apologize if the
having
first 20
me.
minutes have to be cut for audio purposes, but we'll just jump right in the middle. Whatever. I interviewed Alfred Molina. Half that interview got fucked up and I just aired it the way it is. And he goes, "Oh, I'm surprised you add all the rubbish in the middle of that." I'm like, "Yeah, that's how I roll." That's right, Fred.
Oh my God, I love that. I love that so much. Listen, I'm sure I could help you. I have a friend that does really good audio.
All right, well, I'm going to listen to it tomorrow.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
you
and
guys
I like
make
you.
sure to subscribe, www.xraepod.com.
Yes.
Share, and just be good. And yeah, and stop using all those fossil fuels and eat meat. Even though I love meat, I can't tell people to stop eating meat.
I
But
love
meat's
meat
bad
too.
for the environment, so eat.
But I mean, but I eat a lot of meat. I
Okay,
can't.
good. So to all the carnivores and omnivores out there, we love you too. You are accepted by us and Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. This is Raylan Casper White signing off.
Thank you, Ray.